I want to welcome y'all to VividLife TV with yours truly, Alex Auguste, streaming live right now from E2A Studios. Pardon us on the tardiness, you know what I mean? It's been a crazy day. Everything from the Tampa traffic today with the rain to obviously setting this up. You guys will notice this is super different from the normal setup. I'm actually grateful for this setup right now because number one, I'm moving, so my home studio is completely in upheaval, but shout out to Archie for letting us do this here. Man, we got a really dope setup. We got a really dope show and a stream for y'all tonight. I got my guest in the building. She is a traveler. She's been to over 20 states across the US. She has done so solo. She has done so as a content creator, kind of building out her own life, and we have been watching it from the lens of both Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So ladies and gentlemen, y'all give it up for none other than Jem the Travel Hippie, who's with me right now in the studio, y'all. This is dope opportunity, so say what's up to them.
Hi guys, I hope you're having a fabulous night.
Yes, so man, it's good to have you. We've been working on this for a while. We have been working on this, getting this stream together almost, I want to say, since I started it. Yeah. Which is crazy because I started doing this live stream back in December, like right after Art Basel. And I was like, yo, if you're ever in Tampa, if you're ever back in Tampa, like hit me up, let's get this going. Let me get you on the stream and let's see how things go. But tell us where you've been in the last 3 months.
3 months?
Just the last three. We'll get into the whole timeline, but tell us where you've been in the last 3 months, and why. Let's get into the why.
Why? Okay, so I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This isn't 3 months, but like the interesting part. Albuquerque, just beautiful. I was there for the balloon fiesta. If you've never been, highly recommend. It is gorgeous. After that, I went to Reno, Nevada for about a month, which is also fabulous. Kicked off the year in San Francisco for my birthday, and then ended the year in Puerto Rico for New Year's.
Nice. And where are you from?
I'm from Baltimore.
Okay, so I don't know why I was thinking. I was like, she's either from Baltimore or from New Jersey, and I was like, I know it's got to be Baltimore because the bridge situation happened.
Yes.
And I was like, all right, like I immediately woke up as soon as I saw it. I immediately woke up and started like checking on all my Baltimore people. I'm sending text messages to Rich Rocket and all of them, and I'm like, yo, y'all straight? Because I know that's not the main bridge in the city, but it's one of the main bridges in the city. That's like, if you're going to more on the east side, if you're going to like Annapolis, like I've only been to Baltimore so many times, but I know that it's not like if you're going to the airport.
So I actually was like, I can't tell what bridge that is. So I was texting my cousin, and she was like, yo, you used to live right there. And I'm so that bridge is connecting Dundalk and then like those areas. So I was like, yo, because I took that bridge damn near every day growing up. Yeah. So it was like, to see that and just, it's insane. Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah, it is. So shout out to the city of Baltimore, man. Praying for them. Like, it's crazy because the first thing I immediately thought about was like the fact that happened to the Skyway Bridge. Like historically, that same situation happened to the Skyway Bridge. The only difference was Skyway Bridge situation was like, it was a foggy day. This is 1980s. And the driver just couldn't see and just ran into the bridge, broke it off and stuff like that. So that was like immediately the first thing I thought of, and it's crazy that it's almost so connected like that. But yeah, man, prayers up for them, hoping that it gets much better. But going back to you like content wise, let me tell you what I've seen in the last, because what we met
like 2 years ago.
Maybe
2022.
Okay, that is 2 years ago. I almost said 3 years. Okay, 2022. So in the last 2 years, obviously, we met at Elevated.
I don't know what it was called, but it was a vibe. It was a networking event at
Rose Bar. Right. And we met there, and I think shortly after that, you left. When did you leave Tampa?
I left Tampa December 2022. I actually went back home.
What's the? I mean, you've not like the why, but like I've always been kind of like, oh, I'm going to leave Tampa, right? I'm going to leave Tampa. And I feel like when you take that leap, Tampa is not my hometown, right? So it has not been the most difficult leap I've ever taken was leaving Miami. Like, not gonna lie to y'all, it was hard. There was no answers. There was no information. Middle of a recession. The only thing that slightly saved me was the fact that I was leaving Miami to go to college.
Okay.
And so I always feel like when you make that decision, making a decision is one part, taking the action is the second part, but having a reason that is strong enough for you not to run back to your comfort zone matters more. What kept you going forward without ever looking back?
Life is all about getting out of your comfort zone.
Okay.
Like, you can't just, I mean, I guess some people choose to be comfortable for their entire lives, but I feel like those people aren't truly happy. They're not excited with their life, and ultimately they're just surviving and they're not living. And for me, I got tired of just surviving and I wanted some excitement, and I've always been a traveler at heart. So even when I was living here in Florida, I just kept thinking, when can I get out again? When's the next thing I can go do?
Yeah.
So rather than feeling like I was always chasing that next thing, like, let me just go live my life and just do what makes me happy.
Yeah. And you were a travel agent, weren't you?
I have done a lot of things.
Okay. But I remember part of the conversation we had, you were like talking to me in very much travel agent language. So I was like, okay, she's a travel agent.
So a part of that journey was me just trying to figure out how I can monetize traveling while doing it. And so I did dibble and dabble in the travel agent thing, but I was ultimately like, yeah, that's not for me.
I mean, being a travel agent, I feel like that's hard. Like, my way of travel, I would not be able to sell it to a lot of other people. Number one, I usually buy flights the day before.
Oh, okay, yeah, you lost like
90%
of people in this
99.
Like,
Most people cannot handle the anxiety of like.
So do you go to the airport and get it?
No, come on, I'm not 1976 with it. Like,
So then what's the thought process behind the day before?
Let me think about that, because
you don't know off the top of your head. It's crazy.
Now you ask me questions on my stream. So reason why I do it the day before is usually because prices do go down when you get closer sometimes. Mm-hmm. And number two, there's really no rush to, like, I feel like once the airline, this is a little bit of me put my tinfoil hat on. Okay. I feel like once the airline companies went online and digital, they created a lot of fake anxiety about going to the airport. So our whole thought is like, oh, if I buy my ticket 4 months in advance, I'm guaranteed to get on the plane. Okay. True or false?
Which is false.
Right, because how many of us get to the door and they're like, hey, yo, we'll give you $700 to not get on?
Well, I don't think it's that. I think it's more so you think you're getting a better price by booking that far out.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, if you really think about it, it's all just fake anxiety. The number one thing you need to have before you travel is a hotel room. Otherwise, you're not going. Everything else after that can figure itself out. I know, it sounds crazy. Listen, you can't.
It depends on where you're going.
You can't travel this way if you're traveling with others, children, the elderly, a partner. Like, you can't travel this way.
Because I kind of think the opposite. I think as long as I know how I'm getting there, I'll kind of figure the rest out. But also, being a woman, I do need to know where I'm putting my head.
Yeah. Either you don't have a flight, but you got the room, or you got the room, you don't have a flight. I can sleep better, legit, like literally. I can sleep better knowing I got the room. Just get there.
Interesting.
So I've gone to the airport before. I've done standby, which is crazy. That's probably the craziest way to travel, in my opinion. I've done like going to the kiosk. Hey, I'm looking for a flight. When's your next available?
Has that worked? Have you gotten discounted flights?
Yo, like, yes.
So how do you do that? Because I'm trying to figure that out.
You walk into the airport with like a book bag, right? You don't want to walk in with like a check bag. You can't be like.
More so, I'm asking, like, do you do it around the time you know you want to leave, or do you?
I would do it as early as possible, right?
So if I wanted to go somewhere in a month, I should go like tomorrow. Is what you're saying?
No, I thought you meant the day of.
Go the day of.
Yeah, so go the day of at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Hey, because that way you can see all of the options for the whole day.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay.
oh, we got an 8 o'clock. If no, we can put you on standby.
Okay, so walk us through it. I want to go to Jamaica.
Shit. Okay, you're
Tomorrow.
talking international. Now you're talking.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't work that way.
I wouldn't do that with international.
So just domestic.
Yeah, just domestic. Let's say I'm trying to go to Nashville. I'm trying to go to Nashville tomorrow. I'm gonna pack my bag tonight. I'm gonna go to the airport at like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, or whenever the kiosk is open. I'm gonna walk in. I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a flight to Nashville. What do you have for the day?
Okay.
And they're gonna be like, we got an 8 o'clock, we got a this o'clock, we got a da 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 da, we got this stops, and they will, and like you're gonna get that so much cheaper because I think 40% of what you pay for online is just administrative fees and the fact that we got to pay for our website, we got to pay for our hosting, we got to pay for tickets. Like you're helping them pay for what they got to pay for. Whereas if you just do it old school,
you're taking a lot of that fee out, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like and a surcharge on round trip usually doesn't even make sense. And also the round trip is never as smooth as the coming back, especially with Tampa. Like you can go somewhere and it's nonstop, but coming back you're gonna have to stop. So why am I paying extra?
Why is it like that? But yeah, no, I agree.
Because Tampa is still a baby airport. Like I'm sorry. As much as
baby
they wanna,
airport is crazy. The Tampa diehards are gonna be like upset. That
I mean, think about it. We just recently got flights to Savannah direct. We're still just now getting flights to places direct. So like, and it's crazy because we're an international airport. But like, bro, Baltimore, I gotta get a stop coming back. Like, but I can get to Baltimore on the direct flight.
Right.
So I don't remember how we got here, but yeah, my way of travel is just different. So I could not be a travel agent because, like you said already, I lost you.
Lot, yeah.
I lost you on the day before.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
So you ended up going to Baltimore, and then let's go back to that part.
All right, Baltimore.
Baltimore, good old Baltimore.
December of 2022. Okay, I'm there.
And then?
What happened next?
Yeah, I mean, take me through the thought process of how you decided to jump. I feel like let's break it down a little bit. So I was talking about like, the whole aspect of like leaving your hometown and those things. But like for you, what was not scratching the itch for you in terms of like, you mentioned being comfortable, but like comfortable is comfortable. So like when you're comfortable, for the itch to not be scratched, like what was it for you that was just like, I need more? And also the brand of like the Travel Hippie.
Gotcha. Okay. So just to rewind, I joined the military when I was 17.
Okay.
So by the time I was 21, I had already lived with a man. I had lived in another place, and I had lived internationally. So I went to Tennessee, Clarksville, Tennessee. If anybody's familiar with Fort Campbell, that's where I was. And then I went to Germany. We were stationed there. So coming back and coming to Florida was kind of me getting a fresh start after my divorce. And around that time, I also lost my mother. So both of those things were happening in my life. And I moved to Florida in 2018. And so 2022, I was just ready to go. Florida was the first place that I've lived for a long length of time outside of Maryland. Mm-hmm. And I watched Tampa grow from what it was to what it is now. And it's really beautiful to see, but it's no longer felt like I was a part of the city anymore. I almost felt like I outgrew it. Which again, if you rocks with Tampa, that's no shade. It's just my truth. But yeah, I felt like I outgrew it. And so one of my life goals was always to visit all 50 states.
Yeah.
And
I've heard that on a video before.
Yeah, and I thought that I wouldn't be able to do that until I was retirement age. So when I found the site that I use now, which is Trusted House Sitters, it allows me to be a house sitter in exchange for other travelers who need to leave but have pets that they need to maybe take care of or plants or whatever. And I was like, maybe I can do this all year. And that's what I did. So just pushing myself out of my comfort zone enough to realize that I wasn't happy where I was, and there's an opportunity to make myself happy full time. Who wouldn't choose that?
Right. Okay. It's dope seeing, like, hearing a lot of that, like, pieced together from videos that you have on TikTok. Where did you say you went first after Florida?
After Florida, I went back home to Maryland.
And then Denver.
And then Denver.
And Denver was like, because I remember these videos. Like I remember like some of the content of like Denver was just, I don't even really know what you were doing, but it's time. All right, this thing was that where the concept.
The travel hippie concept was a very recent thing, like the last few months. I really didn't plan on doing anything content. Denver was a blast. I felt like I made it home as soon as I got there. People were just working with me and I was working with them. It was very beautiful. If you've ever been, literally everywhere you look is just mountains.
Yeah.
So gorgeous.
I mean, you're talking non-winter?
I was there January to March. So the entire winter.
The last couple times I've been to Denver, it didn't snow in Denver proper. Yeah.
Oh wow.
It snowed while you were there?
Lucky. It snowed multiple times.
Oh, every time the last 2 times I've been to Denver. Nothing. So that's cool. And so that was like the beginning of like the journey of like.
That was the beginning of the journey. So towards the end of my time in Denver, I actually met a good friend of mine. His name is Yak. And long story short, we ended up hitting it off very well. Come to find out, he's like one of the big promoters in Denver. And so he actually holds the Juneteenth Festival in Denver and invited me to come back in June. So I left Denver, continued my travels in the other places that I went to, and then I went back in June, and I got to be a part of the staff for the Juneteenth Festival, which was crazy. It was crazy. And I was like, yo, I need to do this with my life. Festivals are so stressful, but they're very fun.
Yeah.
And I actually put my DJ friend, shout out to Scratch Cartel, if you like Afro beats, Scratch Cartel. I ended up getting them a contract.
They do their party once a month at the AC Hotel.
Yes, they do, which is fabulous. I ended up helping them secure a contract with Live Nation to come and DJ for the Juneteenth Festival. So that was really awesome as well. Cool, so just a lot of opportunities that were popping up.
Yeah, and is Juneteenth like big in Denver?
Yes. There were about 60,000 people that came over that weekend.
Oh.
Over that 2-day weekend, yes. It was stressful.
Damn.
Over that weekend, I think I slept maybe like 4 or 5 hours between the 2 days, and I barely got to eat because it was just so busy. And we had Music Soul Child there as well.
Okay, that's dope.
So
that's like, yeah, that sounds bigger than even Tampa's Juneteenth Festival.
Denver's pretty big.
Huh?
So
Denver's massive. It's actually one of my least favorite airports.
Oh.
Yeah, no. Love the city. Airport, like
it's very big.
You don't want to lay over in Denver, bro. Like you are gonna be tired and you're gonna get sick. So with there's something that you mentioned earlier that I kind of want to come back to, which is number one. I feel like every time people say anything about Tampa, people from Tampa get extremely
tight. They're like Puerto Ricans when it comes to Puerto Rico, bro. I'm like, listen,
and it's like,
relax,
yo, just like one, I'm entitled to my opinion, okay? And no. My opinion doesn't mean that I have to leave Tampa. It just means I pay taxes here. And one thing that I've kind of always, the first thing that I actually noticed with your content, one time you posted something and the shadow of your tripod was on you. And I was like, that's wild. She's doing all this by herself? Like, I was like, wait. She's
oh my gosh,
Dolo?
That sand picture that everybody loves. I have a picture of me on Instagram. I went to
White
Sands in New Mexico. I forgot what it was, but it's actually a military installation. Anyway, I was by myself, and so I'm literally like running back and forth between the sand. And then I don't know why I didn't just take a video and get my favorite shots, because I wasn't thinking like that. But yeah, it got to be a lot.
You were in White Sands by yourself?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, and it's crazy because that's most people can go to movies. I can go to movies by myself. I can go like eat by myself. But like in the vastness of nature, not knowing who the next nearest person to you is, and just being
that's
like,
what made it special.
I'm
What
vibing.
do you mean? I got to be me out there without fear of judgment. Fucking just run buck wild.
I was gonna say butt naked. I was like, whoa.
If I hadn't thought, see, that's the thing.
Someone's probably done it before.
Right, as they should. That's the thing with content creation, though, is like you're so worried about getting that perfect shot and capturing that perfect memory that it can't, if you're by yourself, or even if you're with somebody, you're so worried about it that it takes you out of that present moment.
Yeah.
And so you have to remember, like, hey, okay, even if I don't get the shot, I just need to enjoy being here because I might not ever come here again. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
So that was kind of stressful.
How? I mean, this is a loaded question, right? But like, how big does White Sands feel? Like it's like corner to corner, horizon to horizon.
It was a
White
desert.
Sands.
It was a desert.
But
like,
it's mad cold.
Well, I mean, I was there in the summer.
Okay.
But it was huge. Like literally, there are signs there that are like, "Hey, make sure you know where you are going because you can't get lost out here." And so I didn't go very far because I was like, listen, I'm from Baltimore. Okay?
Yeah, used to be.
I am a city girl.
Yeah. Damn. I mean, like I've contemplated going to White Sands, and you mentioned a military installation. Fun fact: I don't know if you saw Oppenheimer, but Oppenheimer is not far from
Oppenheimer.
Or where it's the movie about the nuclear bomb, the first nuclear bomb.
Oh yeah.
The first one that they did is not far from
White Sands.
White Sands.
Yeah, they were saying it's still an active test site to this day.
Yeah, which kills the whole buzz about all that because there's little corners of it where they have like a certain kind of sand that you're not allowed to touch and all this kind of stuff because radioactivity. Fun fact. But with the whole traveling alone, everyone always talks about content-wise about like women's safety. What were your like best practices with just like making sure you were straight?
That's a really good question.
You weren't doing nothing. You were just out there vibing.
I'm gonna be real. I'm a viber and I'm also a very spiritual person. So I know that I'm always protected wherever I go. You know what I'm saying? I got my tea with me. And also I just had very good intuition. Like
okay.
I can't, I'm not the right one to ask. I literally slept at a stranger's house one time, which is a completely different story for another day.
Nah, dog. You gotta tell the story for that.
I was like kind of wild. Like I would walk around at night.
Another day us on that.
By myself. Yeah, I'm not the best person to ask.
But you were never scared.
No.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of that's the most important part. Because the thing that I'm gonna plug those the two last questions I asked you about, like the Tampa piece and then the safety piece. Because one thing that I observed in myself as I started traveling super fucking heavy a couple of years ago was like the fact that I'm always leaving Tampa means I'm away from friends and family. Right? Every time I leave, I'm away from friends and family. It doesn't matter how dope the content looks. When I'm leaving, I'm away from friends and family. And then what you end up kind of, especially when you go from different places to different places, you find pieces of those cities that you fall in love with. And when you come back to Tampa, it's not here. So eventually you kind of get this like floating in space kind of feeling where like the things you love ain't here, but the people you love are here, but you always
So the beauty of traveling and not just vacationing, because vacationing and traveling
is
two different things.
Yeah.
The beauty of traveling is if you allow yourself to be open to the experience, you'll meet people wherever you go. So you'll build community everywhere. And so now I have beautiful friends in Germany, in Denver, in Albuquerque, everywhere. And it's great because I just can't. I love my peoples in Tampa, but I also love being happy more than any of that. So you just gotta think of you. And like, if you're lonely, figure that shit out, or just FaceTime somebody. Like, we have technology for a reason. I get it because there was a lot of times.
Yeah. So talk to us about that. Like, what was? I mean, lonely, and like I know I got a ticket back home is one thing, but lonely and like I'm gonna just keep on going is completely different. So how did you balance that? How did you manage that? How did you even move through that? Like that's wild.
Ooh. No, that's yeah.
'Cause homesick in that instance sounds. There's no home. I mean, there's not. Home is a concept, not a place. But like homesick meaning like there's always a comfort zone to go back to. But where you were comfortable doesn't feel comfortable no more. So it's like, again, it's that floating in space feeling.
Honestly, though, I feel like a lot of life feels like that, even without the traveling part. Because a lot of people are going through everybody's going through their own journey. And so some people are at different places in their healing than others. Some people haven't started and never plan to. So while solo traveling, I also discovered a lot about myself and I feel like they just knew an old version of me.
Oof.
So I couldn't even really take respite in that.
Yeah.
I think I used that word properly.
I don't know how to
so I just felt lonely times 1,000.
Yeah.
And then like meeting new people, you have to go through that hurdle. And like, I tend to be a person that as soon as I meet you and if I like you, I'm just like, hey girl, like we've known each other our whole lives, but not everybody is like that. So it was.
Yeah,
it was a lot.
It's crazy, and I think I think with the way the world is now and the whole content creation and all that, it's like travel always seems like such a flex, and it is. It's a privilege to be able to move around. Yeah. There's some people that don't have the time, some people that don't have the money, the resources, some people that's afraid of flying, right, and they just can never get far. And it's like. To me, that's where it started bothering me, where it was like, yo, I would travel and people like, oh, well, you always out of town and stuff. You always, where you going next? And it's like, yo, like, come on, bro. Like, do you want to go? You know what I mean? Like,
it's kind of like a little bit of haterade juice.
Yeah.
It's like, just be happy for me that I'm happy. And like, just like you would want that same love with whatever you're doing, whether it's travel or you want to play Major League Baseball or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But touching back on that loneliness really quickly, in the end, I had to realize that I'm always going to feel like that because you're always going to be searching for a feeling more than it is a place, like you said.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that you can just do by yourself. And so I just started having fun again and just letting my inner child be free when I get lonely. That's all I'm looking for, is just comfort and somebody who sees the real me. And ultimately, I'm the only person who can ever see the real me.
And define the real you, too.
And that's for everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So. And what were the places where you were just like, oh, like, I can think of a couple places that I've been to that are like felt euphoric to be there. Like Red Rock. I went to Red Rock Canyon in Vegas with my boys, right? Mm-hmm. We're in the mountains. We see this deep ass plunge. And I'm like, yo, the what's the word? It's a math word. The slope? Okay. The slope is like crazy angle. And I'm like, yo, if one of us goes, we can all go, right? And we're high as fuck. Like I'm like we're high as shit.
You're in Denver.
So we go Vegas. So we go down there, and I just remember like at one point. And I don't remember who said it, but they were just like, you're with your boys and you're all blazed. And somebody was like, yeah, I can see how people used to worship the sun. Like just randomly says that. As the sun is going through this little like almost like a cutout in the mountain, and it sits there and it just goes down. And it's like as we were just watching the sun go down, and at the time of my life, like this is like shortly after divorce and stuff like that. So for me, I'm like, damn, bro, like I'm with my boys, world going crazy, going to shit, but like I feel like this is an important ass moment in my life.
Right. Right.
And so Red Rock felt like that a lot, and that's why I started doing more nature travel. Like I go wherever I go, and I try to get a hike in. So for you, where were some of those places that felt like, hey man, I feel like this is a chapter, like this is a bold-faced line in a chapter of my life right now, the fact that I'm here right now?
Honestly, every day for the first few months that I started traveling felt like that because I was constantly surrounded by beauty. The mountains in Denver freaking, I could not. I was
Yeah.
just like, every day. Michigan, I went to this spot called Sleeping Bear, which is gorgeous. Even just driving and with house sitting, you can select an option where you can drive the person's car.
Oh shit.
So I'm literally just like driving, passing these major views of somebody else's whip, and I'm like, this shit's so fucking nice. And I'm not paying no rent. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time.
I just looked up Sleeping Bear. It's like
Beautiful.
a beach dune on the lake.
Beautiful.
And that's where everyone tries to climb up the mountain, and apparently no one can do it.
Can I show?
Yeah.
They also said you have very good interview skills, just so you know.
Oh, thank you, y'all. Thank you.
That was Sleeping Bear, y'all. Freaking gorgeous. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, yes, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I've actually seen it on TikTok. Crazy.
This is before I started really doing content, so some stuff I just didn't. It was like a me. But I would say that moment for sure is gonna get a little adult rated R. So if you got kids,
This is not the Disney Channel.
yeah, right. So honestly, I had that moment. I wasn't actually solo traveling. I was with an ex, but we went to this spot in Jamaica called Hedonism.
Oh God, I already know.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Okay, so they describe it as an adult playground, and that's really what it is. So to make it summarize for y'all, you literally can walk around butt naked, and people are getting their freak on wherever they want to. And it is so fun. So that was actually the first time I took ecstasy. I don't know if you can say drug names. But yeah, I took that, and it was really good. I was like, damn, this is how I want to feel all the time.
Yeah, I follow someone on Twitter named Gab Alexa. She's based out of New York. If the TikTokers know her, y'all have probably seen her talk about it before. But that's how I found out about hedonism. And yeah, a couple years ago, I
feel like everybody should go at least once if you're about that life. And actually, Florida is a pretty freaky state too. They got one in like Lakeland, something similar.
But see, like you say Miami, yeah, like
Lakeland.
It's just like we're gonna go TMI. Fuck it. It's like nude beaches, right? I grew up in Miami. I always knew if I'm on the beach, there's a line, literally a line on the beach that if you cross it, you're gonna see an old man walking by butt ass naked.
That's life.
And when I was younger, I used to be like, yo, these white, they wildin'. Until I did it.
Yeah.
And one day I was just like, yo,
it's freedom.
let me just go do that shit. So I went, you're out there. Number one, no one cares that you're naked.
Right.
Because everybody's naked.
Right.
No one's looking at your parts because that's some weirdo shit to do.
Right.
Motherfuckers were playing volleyball together and just everybody just it's a normal beach. Just no clothes. And I looked it up to see if anything was on this side of the state, and it's just like there is, but they're all like little resorts versus just being public. And I don't know how I feel about the resort thing because it's different. It's a different experience on this side of the state. And like I said, a resort in Florida for it just feels different from when it's just a public beach, like in Europe.
I was at a resort. Edo is a resort.
That's in Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Yeah.
Honestly,
not wiki-watchy Florida.
Anyway, I'm trying to find like any excuse to do it again. It's a free feeling.
Sure.
So I think you're just overthinking it, or you didn't really enjoy it as much as you thought you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it a lot. But no, I don't know. Maybe it's the water. Like in Miami, the water was like crystal clear, nice waves.
It's your mindset. You're like
Gulf Coast
is
Gulf Coast is like stingrays. The water's like you know what I mean? Like it's. I need to be somewhere that feels like paradise.
I don't feel like being butt naked right here. Just don't sit right.
Honeymoon. Have you been to Honeymoon Island?
I don't think so.
It's not really. It doesn't really give paradise. It just kind of looked like the Gulf of Mexico. You know what I'm saying? Jamaica looks like paradise. I want to be naked in paradise, Mountain Dew. You know, and this guy's putting on his American flag shorts and stuff like that. So yeah. But no, that's. Where else? Where else felt you?
That was a very euphoric moment. Oh my gosh, the balloon fiesta in Albuquerque. It's hot air balloon. It was like 1,000 hot air balloons going up in the air at once, and the whole thing is an experience in itself because you literally have to wake up at like 3 or 4 in the morning to get there because it's a lot of people going. Find parking, do the whole thing. So it's like dark outside, you're tired, it's a whole adventure getting there. And then you just watch the sunrise as these balloons are going up into the air, and it was just like, this is my life.
And it's legit like orangey sunrise. Did you go on one?
So beautiful. I didn't. Nah, just seeing it was enough.
Yeah, I can't. I can barely do a Ferris wheel, but y'all ain't hear that from me. I'm like terrified of heights. Like I can do heights, but like
you'd rather not.
A floating basket in the sky?
Yeah.
Nah.
I feel it.
So yeah, let's pivot a little bit from just the travel conversations to the content, right? Let's talk about the TikTok ban and what your opinions. Are you familiar with what's going on with the TikTok ban?
Yes. I'm sad.
Are y'all familiar with what's going on with the TikTok ban? What is your? I mean, I'm not gonna ask you what your opinion is, but like, how does that impact you as a traveler who is now building? Obviously, you're live right now, so you're building a community. I feel like TikTok is the greatest platform for community.
Yes.
But how are you planning for that? Like, how are you anticipating that? What's your motion right now in terms of?
I hate to see TikTok go because it is very community based and it is a really great platform. It's really the whole reason why I got on social media because I'm just not a fan of the other platforms outside of YouTube. YouTube will always be
YouTube.
But I have started looking at taking my content and making it more of a business and actually taking it seriously. So essentially converting my followers to my email list, into YouTube, into other places, starting a website, blah blah blah.
Yeah, you gotta do that like tomorrow.
Like, I know. That's why I'm like, oh, I feel kind of behind.
Like I started doing that technically I started doing that in 2018 when 2016 I created a website. I didn't have an email list. I was just blogging, and if you read it on Facebook, you read it on Facebook. And in 2018 is when I started. And I forgot what happened around that time, but I views, impressions, reach. But like at any given time, I can just put out a call to action and tell people something, and it's in their email. Like I might as well just do that now. And I didn't realize how many like content. These live streams become a blog post. The blog post becomes email, and it is work. And I know you mentioned just now like using the phrase like taking it seriously, but there is like at least there's joy at the end of that. Like you see the open rates. People walk up to you now, and rather than you having to tell people stuff, like they're coming to you like, yo, I saw your email, bro. Like that shirt is dope, or whatever. So I would say like tomorrow, or not Thumbtack, Substack. Substack is one. I like the idea of if I write a blog post, I can send it out as an email.
Yeah.
Because I used to have WordPress. WordPress is trash. I know most people build on WordPress. I'm not a guru at it, but like in this day and age, when you want fast, I don't want to be able to write a blog on my phone while I'm at the airport, like waiting
while
on the
you're
gate.
feeling inspired.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So like just being able to do stuff on the fly is really, really cool, and then you can just put out a post. Truthfully, with the TikTok ban, what are we gonna all do? Go back to Instagram? I feel like
it's not gonna happen though. Like I feel really good about it. Do y'all think it's gonna happen? Like TikTok is gonna be banned? I don't feel like it is. But allegedly, if it does happen, then we have 6 months to prepare. So I'm not gonna be too pressed about it until then.
I think we have longer than that, cause.
Right, because then they can fight it. So I'm like, I'm not even gonna trip about it. If it becomes a thing, then I'll worry about it. But like, I feel confident in the community that I'm growing here.
Right.
And
I think they did it as a way to scare us into going back to Instagram now. Like, if you think about it, TikTok's gonna get banned. How many people are probably just like, well, shit, let me just go ahead and go back to Instagram, and they stop using TikTok. So like I think it's a scare tactic now, but like
I think it woke a lot of creators up to take their businesses seriously and take their brand seriously and figure out they even want a brand, or if this really is just for fun. And so a lot of people have started diversifying their social media portfolios to other places. But I don't think that that's why they're banning TikTok. I think it's deeper than that.
Oh yeah, I mean it's 100%. So we were talking about that. We were talking about that yesterday.
I do not be on video saying that.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, I didn't mean to break the fourth wall. Oh man, I forgot what I was gonna say. So you mentioned like you wanted to take it seriously. So do you feel like where you are right now with your content, do you feel like you're doing it for fun?
I was always doing it for fun until I started seeing numbers on videos, and I was like, oh, okay, this is what y'all like, you know?
Yeah.
And then I started getting a few companies here and there start hitting me up for collabs, nothing too serious, but like the fact that there was interest. And then I was just like, I want to create. I'm cool. I like to make art.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
So,
I would say with the content stuff, my biggest, I'm not gonna say it's a regret, but I know that in the last 3 years, there's been a shift in the way I was creating content where it was business, but it was fun. And it was so much so much creativity just being poured into it. And when I wanted to take it to the next level and like take it seriously, it legitimately took all the freaking fun out of it. Like all of it. It's like, okay, well now like every time I post something, it's gotta convert. And it's like, dog, you weren't worried about that when it was, it's a new damn day. Serious adult Congress stuff, it's like, all right, bro, like now it's becoming a 9 to 5. And so like I'm almost at the point where I'm just like, if we all could just go back to where we were in 2020 when there was a shot challenge every day and there was push-up challenges and all this stuff, like we would all feel so much more fun. Like it would be fun again.
If social media was going back to what it was always meant to be and taking the business out of it?
I wouldn't even say social media. I think we are the ones who put the business into it. Like social media social media becomes like this blanket term, kind of like when we're just like, society is so bad. And it's like, no, point to who's bad in the room right now. You know what I mean? Like we are, but like I always say, like, is social media changing human behavior, or is human behavior changing social media?
Did y'all hear that question? That was a really good question.
What do you think?
Social media changing human behavior,
or is human behavior changing social media?
I want to go to TikTok.
She's gonna phone a friend, ladies and gentlemen.
Someone said, yeah, we blame social media. Or V said, yes, we blame social media, but we are the ones powering it. We have to take accountability. So I'm like, it's kind of hard to answer that because it feels kind of like the same.
I feel like you feel like it's the same?
Obviously it's two different questions, but it feels like the same at its core.
Yeah.
Because there would be no social media without humans. So are we asking?
So let me give an example of what I think about all the time, right? It's like we all say like, well, like people's attention spans are only 8 seconds. Like we come up with this like weird figure like attention span is so short, and it's like, is it though? Like, is our attention span really short for real, where we can't watch a minute-long reel? Like, it's got to be 6 seconds. It's like...
It's kind of like...
Who told us that?
It's kind of like how we view people when we're in public, and it's just like, oh, well, at first glance, do they keep my attention? If not, then I'm going to keep scrolling, which is how the algorithm came about. Or if you're in public... So I think that's why people's attention spans are shorter. It's more so you just didn't engage my attention.
Yeah. When
I first saw whatever it is you were putting out. But I will also say that lately I've been forcing myself to consume longer content because I have noticed that my attention span was getting shorter. Or I was like upping the speed on a video or whatever. So
oh my God,
it's like a skill now to be like, hey, I'm just gonna watch this thing that I actually want to watch
at 2x speed.
And if I have time for it, watch the whole thing. Maybe not all the way as fast, maybe just a little bit faster, but like, come on, you know what I mean?
I think the attention span thing is actually, it has nothing to do with attention. It has everything. Well, it does. It's right now. Like, think about it. Our parents were not at work when they were 34 years old doing anything but work. I got somebody's DMing me on Instagram, but I'm also trying to find a funny video to kind of keep me in between stuff, so I'm watching TikToks as well.
Low key though, I had to realize this too. When I was working a 9 to 5, I couldn't really do work without my phone. I would dread that fucking day if I had to go to work without my phone.
Yeah, because it usually starts off as like, well, I'm gonna just check this real quick. All right, cool. All right, yeah, all right, cool. And then you're like, and then after a while, you start realizing, bro, I'm picking up my phone and I'm actually not doing anything. Like, I'm just picking up my phone.
I want that rush. I think it's like dopamine or whatever it is in your brain.
They say that. They say it's dopamine. Trying to find it out. So we become, even at work, right? Even if you do put your phone away, you're still being asked to multitask like crazy. You got 19, I'll be on Zoom with people and they have like 19 tabs open. We're just used to like doing multiple shit at multiple times. When you're watching Netflix, right? When people watch Netflix, they're not just watching Netflix. They're watching Netflix and they're on their phone.
Right. Well,
right?
I know that a lot of content is shifting towards that mode, only like I was just saying earlier. And they want to have something in the background. Someone just said right now that they're multitasking and they're making baskets for Easter while listening to us. So it's like, that's the way that content is shifting, because we have a society that wants to feel connected in some way, but a lot of people have lost that touch of knowing how to have human interaction.
Yeah.
Because we have shifted towards social media. So it's like meeting people in person. A lot of people have social anxiety and things like of that nature.
Yeah.
So they're putting on things to listen to in the background of whatever else they're doing.
Yeah.
And myself included. Like, I do it.
Oh yeah, I do it all the time. Like, I was watching the Nickelodeon.
It's kind of like how podcasts became a thing.
How so?
Because, so, you know, at first it was like interview, kind of like this. Obviously, we have cameras on us. People actually watch it.
Right.
But I guarantee that more than half of people that are actually listening to this are just listening to it and not actually watching it.
Prove her wrong, y'all. Prove her wrong. Speak up. Nah, I'm playing. You know, it's funny. I had a conversation last night about, and that's a weird ass behavior. Like, and that's where I think, let me see which. Radio, like, it was a I'm we're gonna they say Reagan crack everywhere podcast and then podcast, and so all of these things was like, it's changing because people want change. People want to watch a radio show. People want to listen to a podcast, and it's just like, you're trying to make these platforms do something that already existed.
Right.
Why are you listening to a podcast? We literally
had talk shows like Wendy Williams. It's the only major difference is it's everyday people and not celebrities, but eventually those everyday people
become celebrities and stuff like that. Like, people are listening to books and watching movies and some people just don't know how to read. They don't want to say that, but like, you know, so it's just crazy stuff like that. And I think there's a fine line between the two, but I know that.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
I think it's the American way that we're having hustle culture. We always have to be productive.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily, it's not that I don't have time. It's I have to be doing something productive, whether it's my 9 to 5 or my side hustle.
Yeah. Means I'm not giving something else. Yo, I got a video that I'm actually, it's in the queue right now for my channel. It's called Social Media is Creating an Anxious Society.
What do y'all think? Social media is creating an anxious society?
When was, like, we're not allowed to be bored.
We're not allowed.
Like, I don't even know if people can. When was the last time someone is watching this making baskets? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're just always on go, and it is the hustle culture, and it's taken away. I feel like I'm on a soapbox, so let me just calm down a little bit.
No, you're so right though, because it's like anxiousness and overthinking, at least for me, go hand in hand. And yes. And
money. Like, social media is no longer about just, and I'm gonna kind of pivot this back to community. Like, that's the punchline, hold it. But like, we're all hustle. Everything we we're doing all of these things that are chasing the dollar and completely ignoring the part of like genuine connection and community. So now, like, social media is not social anymore, you know what I'm saying? And I think every time you're online and you're posting and everything you're doing having to become something bigger is making it where it's just like, I'm gonna quit my 9 to 5 to be a content creator. And it's like, well, if you don't like your job, at some point you're not gonna like content creation, because content creation is going to become a job. Like, it's gonna become your sustainable income. It's gonna have to be. And if it becomes that, bro, you're gonna hate it at some point, because it's gonna be your job. You know what I'm saying? Like, people hate Instagram because Instagram went from, you know, me taking a picture of this tripod and a napkin to like, all right, bro, you gotta post a reel every day.
Or you have to like get the aesthetics.
Yeah, like it becomes a job, and so it's like no matter what you do with social media, it's gonna become a job. The only thing that's never gonna become a job with social media is creating a community, because you're going to get the real dopamine that you're actually looking for, which is you connecting with people who are like you. And whenever I think of, like, I read this article the other day about like, this is the loneliest America has ever been. And I'm like, part of me wants to be like, Cap, there's no way, like, everyone's outside, everyone's doing these things. But then you do go outside and it's like, oh yeah, shit, like, we're not, like, people probably call you friendly because you go out and you're traveling and you meet people everywhere you go, right? And it's like, wait, what is the alternative to this friendly thing? Like, just go out and not talk to anyone? So it's just bizarre. And that's where I feel like the platforms are changing human behavior. Because this ain't normal. Like, this is not normal behavior for us to be so closely connected, and literally any phone you're on, you can connect with any human being on the planet, and you choose not to. What? It's wild. Gets off of soapbox, takes off tin can, aluminum tinfoil cap. But yeah, that's my thought. What do y'all think in the chat on our stream right now? What are y'all thoughts? Drop that in the comments. Drop it in the chat. Definitely want to hear y'all opinion of.
Mainly, do you think that social media is creating an anxious society? Because I'm stuck on that question too. Like, wow.
Yeah, I got a whole outline about it, and I feel like this. Go ahead.
My homegirl V said, I think societal demands are making us escape through social media. Demand for money, gotta pay bills on time.
Oh yeah.
Hustle culture.
Yeah. I think even dating. I've never heard so many wild, unnecessary, no one asked for this information, dating testimonials like I have in the last 3 years. Like, okay, you went on a bad date. Like, bury it. You're not supposed to tell us about the ugly guy who had the bad feet and the bad breath. But you're gonna go on social media.
Well, again, but social media, because of that, like, people like being able to relate to one another. So yes, you actually do need to tell me that, so I can laugh and be like, yeah, girl, me too. That's how you build community.
We're not supposed to talk about bad dates. We're supposed to talk about the good dates.
We talk about everything. Like, bad dates is just the tip of the iceberg.
But like,
everything is social media.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna take it.
Because it's social media.
We're not supposed to talk about who the fuck did I marry.
How are you putting like rules on it though?
Well, what I mean is, like, if I walked up to you, right, in public, and I asked you about dating, and I started talking about dating, like, I don't feel like it would be normal for you to just be like, let me tell you about this badass day I went, and nigga had bad breath. Nah, you'd be like.
But you know what? I feel like that should change, because I was just thinking about this the other day. So I was helping out my newfound grandpa at his his vending spot in St. Pete, and so, you know, I have to talk to people, and so, you know, the customary thing is, hey, how are you today? I'm good. How are you? And I literally just was like, next person I see, I'm about to just tell them I'm doing bad and just see what they say. And I said it to somebody in front of me, and she just kind of looked at me and chuckled awkwardly, like she didn't know what to say to that. And I'm like, okay. I think it's weird that I can come up to you and you're working at Burger King. You say, hey, how are you doing today? Good, how are you? Good. Okay, so can I get this? Like, no, how about actually I'm fucking depressed? Or I just cried in the bathroom. Like,
well,
let's be real. I don't like
okay.
the fake.
Let's go back though. Let's bring
human connection
I agree
back
with
to
you.
Everyday scenarios.
But human connection still had etiquette. And prior to social media,
all of that is just,
I'm not gonna lie,
design in our head. What is etiquette?
If
you ask me how I'm doing, then you need to be prepared for that answer.
If I know you.
If you cared enough to ask, then you better care enough for this response, because I'm not gonna be fake about it. I'm doing horribly.
I mean,
or I'm happy as hell.
Listen, as someone that has happened to me before, and as someone who was just like, hey man, I'm just here for a number 6, bro. Like, I was overwhelmed of like, yo.
But that's where energy and intuition come into play, because you can just tell like somebody's vibe. You're like, oh,
Chick-fil-A sauce and
wow, that's crazy. But
like,
that's where, like, where are we going as a society that we don't care about each other anymore? What does that take from you? If I'm the guy at Burger King and you say, hey, how are you?
I'm not saying
listen. And I'm like, I'm actually like really sad right now. Like, my girlfriend just broke up with me. I thought that was gonna be my wife. And you're like, damn, that fucking sucks. So can I get a Whopper? Like, where has human connection went where that you can at least extend it? Damn, man, you know, I've been there, and I hope you
here's my other piece
words
too.
And then continue.
Here's my other piece of that, right? Because I actually had.
Here's a piece. What is happening? Okay.
Wait. I get what you're saying.
Feel me?
I get what you're saying, because I've had it before, but also.
She said, why should we uphold etiquette when some of us are on the verge of a breakdown? At some point, you got to be real.
Okay, let's not call it. Let's not.
And I agree. It's like a fine line. I'm not saying trauma dump on people, but again, if you ask.
What's the fine line between that and trauma dumping?
You ask. So if I say, hey, I'm sad, I actually just broke up with my girlfriend, that's not trauma dumping. Now, if I said, I just broke up with my girlfriend because she cheated on me and she's a
it depends on the opener, right? If I go to Chick-fil-A and I'm like, hey, how's it going, man? Because here's the thing, Alex Auguste always asks you, hey man,
but you don't actually care.
No, I do.
Because you want your Whopper.
Before I go into let me get my order, I'm gonna always say, hey man, how's it going? All right, good. And I've had some people like, you know what?
I'm doing that. I'm just about to be like, I'm fucking horrible. I'm gonna just see what people say. I'm about to start.
They're gonna be like,
too, because I gotta know.
So my only thing of like trauma dumping is people who try to outdo you with trauma dumping, where it's just like.
Now we're on.
Like, yeah, how you doing?
Because
it could be better.
honestly, a lot of people aren't okay.
But you have to have a little bit. You're making me the bad guy, but I'm okay with that. I'm cool. You gotta have a little bit of discernment. Who am I gonna tell this to, and what outcome do I expect from this? Because you can't do a cry to help to everyone. They're not like.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's kind of sad that's how we're moving as a society.
I mean, for sure. I don't think we're
And it
moving
does-
that
I
way. I
don't
think
think-
we've always been that way.
And I was gonna say that too. You're
always been that
like, this is the loneliest society has ever been. I feel like we've always been lonely. It's just been highlighted
I don't
because we
think
have
so.
phones on our hands that we can use to connect with. Because when in time did we ever really give a fuck about how anybody was doing that you didn't know?
It was etiquette. But I don't think we've always been a lonely society. I don't agree with that, because when was the last time you were invited to a game night at someone's house?
A few weeks ago.
Okay, and before that. Like, just in general, how often do you hear about people saying, I'm having a game night? Like,
Well, I think more recently people are wanting that sense of community.
Yeah.
So, yes, but honestly, like I said, even before phones were a thing, like I'm thinking when I was in middle school, elementary, well, maybe not, but middle school, kind of high school-ish era, you didn't talk to everybody in your school. You talked to your handful of friends, unless you were that guy, but you talked to your handful of friends.
How big was your high school?
I mean,
Did you go to like a 5,000, 4,000? No? Like a small one? 1,200?
Maybe.
Okay. So I did too. But like, people are different, right? My reasoning of why I say we weren't is like, so much of what we've done in the last 8 years was purposely. I don't know if everyone was doing it on purpose, but like everything we were doing was creating a lonely society. You go to someone's house, what is their welcome mat? We don't even get welcome mats no more. It's like, why are you here, asshole? It's like, oh, okay, well, bet, motherfucker, I'm not gonna come back. It's all of this little stuff. Like, oh, don't come to my house if you're not invited. I was coming to come check on you. I was bringing upside down pineapple cake
that's
too.
so funny though, because I was literally just talking to somebody about this, and they were like, "Don't pop up at my house." At my event, actually, because we were saying like, "Oh, I haven't talked to you in a few months, and are you good? You know, like, how do I know if I should just pop up on you and see if you're like alive?" And they were like, "No, don't pop up on me." And it was like, but as a friend, like, what if you're actually not doing okay? I'm just trying to be a good friend to you. So.
When was the last time somebody was like, I was around and then the phone rang and she picked up the phone and she was talking to whoever called, and I could hear the person say, hey, you know, the other day I saw you and you looked a little stressed out, so I wanted to call you to make sure you were okay. And I was like, wait a minute. Stressed the other day when you saw him, and I was like, wait, but damn, that's like crazy. Like, our older generation will see you out and about and be like, damn, you know what, man, she look a little stressed. I'm gonna call her and I'm gonna check on her. Like, our generation don't do that. Millennials don't do that. Gen Z probably do. You know.
So it's like everybody wants to kind of hide that, because again, social, we're just raw and unfiltered about everything, like what you just kind of mentioned.
Yeah.
It's taking away from some of that perfection gaze.
Yeah.
But everybody wants to seem like they're doing okay. But it also depends on the platform that you're on. Because like Instagram's good for that, but TikTok, they'll just say
TikTok, people come on, hey, this is the worst day of my life, bro. I slipped, I hit my head, my pocket caught the doorknob, like this all kinds of stuff, which I love. But I don't wanna blame social media. I think the big thing which we learned during the pandemic is like, we are an individualist country. I'm not gonna say society. As a country, we celebrate individualism over community until it's tax time, when they like, damn, you living single, I'm gonna tax the shit out of you. Your groceries gonna go back because you had to buy more than you actually. You know what I mean? Like, there's a conflict, there's a paradox between being single and being an individual, and we don't know how to manage that. I don't think that's a social media thing. I think it's just, that's America. That's how we are, right? But I think now, like we're talking about, like, a lot of people are starting to realize that, like, I can have a community without social media. I can have a community that's not in my hometown. I can have a community that's not in the city that I live in. I can have a digital community, and then I can have a community that's digital without, like, the barriers of social media. Like, WhatsApp now has communities. There's Telegram. There's what's the other one? There's another one.
I think the core of it is we're finding community. What is community? Essentially people that want to come together, that have like-minded goals and interests, and have things that they can ultimately talk about, right?
Yeah.
And so the issue is people nowadays are finding it hard to find their people, for whatever reason that may be. And so because of that, it's easier to keep to yourself and keep your energy to yourself, because you don't have to worry about who you may encounter that may not be wishing you well, or like doesn't actually care about you, or has ulterior motives, whatever.
Yeah.
And it keeps us very much to ourselves.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are seeking that sense of community where like you can actually just be around people who care about you and care about you, and you can be yourself.
And what you're doing right now, what's your ideal like community? What do you envision when you think of community? That's a better way to.
My soul family, soul tribe, people who get me, I get them. We can be ourselves. We can communicate with each other.
And doesn't have to be in like the same city, huh?
No. And I think for me, what's very important is because no one's perfect and we don't all communicate in the same way. So if I or the other person leaves an interaction and we're feeling like, what did that mean? Or I might have taken something the wrong way, or vice versa. We're able to come to each other later, discuss it, and move on. Rather than like, oh, that person might cut me off, and then they do. Or like, we never talk about it, and it's this weird energy every time we hang out. Or just like, anything that's weird and forced cannot be involved in community for me.
Yeah. And with it being kind of, with your idea of community being spread out, like, do you think it is a social media thing, or are you thinking more like a platform, like a WhatsApp? Because I feel like I feel like everyone should create one. I feel like everyone should create one. I feel like it would be dope if like there's just a whole bunch of freaking overlap. And I know there's like Facebook groups. Facebook groups
I feel like that's
always
why
go weird.
It's so beautiful though, because that's literally what TikTok is for.
Yeah. But it's not like TikTok. The one thing I'll say TikTok is missing is like a really good DM system. Because like people communicate with me on the comments, and not to say that I want people all in my DMs and stuff like that, but like I understand if somebody's just like, oh, this is an old video from 2 months ago, I'm not gonna comment on it. Like, I'm not gonna have a conversation with someone in comments. Like I think that would be okay and normal for someone to think that way. And so it just needs that way of like direct, hey, that's, to me, that's the only thing, because if that's the only way I really communicate with people on Instagram. 90% of how I use Instagram is just communicating with people via DM, just casual conversations. I think I probably use my text messages like 10% of, like, it's a very, very low number. Everyone contacts me on social media. So that's really it. But for me, I think my ideal of a community would have to be some, like, I know people are using Discord now.
I like Discord.
It's like a little.
The amount of apps, I cannot get jiggy with it. Like, please,
iPhone problems.
tired of all the apps.
iPhone problems. I'm sorry. iPhone problems. Y'all just gotta get more storage on the iPhone. Discord is dope, but it's also a little confusing.
Yes.
And it's basically Slack for creators. And Slack is just, someone was like, yo, I would do Slack, but the sound of a Slack just reminds me of work. So I don't want something that reminds me of work. I get that. But everyone needs something. Like, everyone needs something. And they actually still have websites where you can build your own social media and everyone just get their own profile.
So you'll just have to come to my event next month.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So I recently had an event this past weekend with myself and my team. Shout out to y'all if you ever watch this. Where essentially the concept was called Weed, Wine, and Wellness, which we have now rebranded to Conversations in the Dark. Essentially, you come into the event space and we have 3 questions positioned, and you answer the questions anonymously. So one of the questions is like, what's something that you would like advice on? Another question is, what's something that has been on your mind but you haven't talked about for whatever reason? So you fill in these prompts anonymously, and then everybody else that comes, we eat, we drink, we smoke, we just chill, we catch a vibe, you build rapport with the other people that are there. And then after about an hour or so of that, we then go into the meat and potatoes of the event. So I led everybody through a breathwork session, which was very much needed and very nice. And then we moved into answering the questions. And essentially, it gave everyone a voice. Everybody was able to be heard and express themselves in a safe environment, judgment-free zone, and nothing that was shared in the circle leaves the circle. And I don't know if you saw the content, but like we decorated it, kind of like, just think like inner child,
like a fort
vibes.
Like
and then
fort.
I had flowers spread, the candles, and like psychedelic light. It was such a vibe. And so obviously you're like high, you're lit, drunk, whatever. And so you just have a platform to say what's on your mind and build community with people.
So when is that taking place? When are you doing it?
The next one will be towards the end of April, pending, but I will let you know for sure.
Okay. Dope. Yeah, man. I think the next wave of all things, I think the next wave of social media, I think the next wave of just people interacting with people getting to know new people, even in the job market too. Like job market right now, if you don't have a referral, if you don't have an in, you're not getting a job.
Yeah.
So it's like there are so many things leading to just people needing to be part of community. I have no doubts that the next big social media trend is going to be community platforms. Like it's already becoming a community feature, like WhatsApp, like I mentioned, broadcast channels, which I actually hate. I don't like broadcast channels because like it's a one-sided conversation. Like it's only outbound conversation, it's not like inbound. So it's a little like that's not community. That's like a fan base. But I think the next big wave, like I said, is going to be people building communities that people can join, that they can monetize, that people can share resources, information, all that kind of stuff, without it being public and being problematic in the public. Like, if you really want to be real on some, like, we should all just change how we look, Truth Social, which is like Donald Trump's social media platform, that's not really a social media platform. That's like a community chat.
Truth Social.
Yeah, if you really think about it, it's a community chat of like everyone that rocks with him, that wants to rock with him, that follows that. They have one thing in common, right? Or a couple of things in common. They all share the same principle. And they're in something that you would only be in if you align with that. That's a group chat. They are in one giant ass group chat. So I think that's really the next wave. That's the next move. But we'll see.
Gave me an idea.
I'm gonna give everybody that idea. I mean, there's platforms. There's Ning.com, Mighty Networks is one. There's like, and I wish I would have capitalized on Mighty Networks because I had a Mighty Network in 2017 and it was free, and now it's not. So I think it's like I said. I think it's the next wave, and I think thought leaders, healers, content creators, people who have some form of leadership or just thought process that like build something out, I think all of those people should build that out, right? You might not know you're a leader, you might not even think you're a leader, but like if you have the following, we all think of like, I want to monetize my following, and it's like, nah, bro, like
just because you have a following doesn't mean you're a leader. Some people, they follow you because you look good or you're funny or whatever. I think if you have something to say and you have an overall desire to help people.
Well, I think when I say following, I don't mean the numbers. I mean like, because you're right, somebody can just look good and they don't ever have to say a word and they got 10,000 followers. Because people be thirsty.
I mean,
right?
even AI platforms.
Oh, yeah. AI profiles have, which I don't quite understand that, but to each their own, bro. So I mean it more in like the people who have thought leadership, some form of school of thought, something that they're actually saying. Like, for example, conscious.
Substance.
Yeah, consciously. You know what that is?
Yes.
Yeah, like consciously. Like he, really good content, very informative. Like he's driving the boat somewhere. You know what I mean? He's taking people somewhere. So I think people like that should definitely create their own community platform. But what do y'all think in the chat? I know we got some people tuned in right now. Let's see. We got people across YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and X right now. Let us know what y'all think in the comments. Are we going towards community? Look at this long ass comment in the in Twitch. Jesus Christ, you can't come on here and promote yourself. But like, geez, man. But yeah, let us know what y'all think, y'all. We got Jim, the Travel Hippie, with us. Right into this conversation, yo. We've been talking travel. We've been talking community, social media, and of course your events. So I know we can't expect you to be here long.
Oh no, hang out in summer.
You here for a good time, not a long time. So what's next for you? Uh-oh.
Trying to figure out how much I want to divulge.
I mean, you don't have to. So you can be like, stay tuned.
No, I'm very confident in where I'm going. I am heading to South America in the summer. And that event that I just described to you, we're building it up so that it can actually be a thing here in Florida, and building a team around that so that when I leave, someone else can take my place, continue to run it, and then I branch out to the countries that I'm going to, because we are everywhere. So if you're going to another country and you're a traveler, you're called an expat. So expats are everywhere. And they need even more like some form of mental health and community-based events, because oftentimes we're the only people that speak our language when we go somewhere, and just, you know, it's nice to see a familiar face if you're in an unfamiliar territory. Yeah. So I will be taking that with me and continuing to build up my brand and just explore this thing called life. Dope. So we will stay with that, yo. We'll definitely stay with that. Y'all follow her. Give the socials, because I know it's generally the same on everything, but just go ahead and drop the socials so everyone can follow you. So you can find me on everything at The Travel Hippie. That's THEE, like Megan Thee Stallion. Okay, girl. Travel Hippie, HIPPIE. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. But if you really want like dope content, obviously it's dope on all three, but I love TikTok and I am building on YouTube. So find me. Thank you for tuning in. It's so nice having you here. Having you here. And it was nice. Thank you, Alex, for this opportunity. No problem. And we're here, y'all. We are here at E2A Studios. Gotta plug them in, y'all. This little setup, this whole situation, the 3 cameras, the panning. Yo, I know like Restream gives me the opportunity to do this, but like all of this right now is, I don't know. Channel, and just stay with us, yo. VividLife TV is definitely back. I know I took a little bit of a break because I had to move, but we're keeping this thing consistent and keeping it growing and going. So thank y'all for tuning in. We're gonna sign out for the night because people got to go home. We were a little delayed. I thank y'all for rocking with us and tuning in. We'll catch y'all on the next show next week, same time, 8:30, right here on I Am Alex Auguste. Thank you so much for the support.